The Path of Purification, Visuddhimagga, of Bhattanta Charya Buddhaghosa, published by Buddhist Publication Society, Kandy, Sri Lanka. Part 2, Concentration, Samadhi. Chapter 4, The Earth Kasina. Extracts, passage 183 to 202.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
The fourth jhana. And at this point, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, he enters upon and dwells in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and has purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. And so he has attained the fourth jhana, which abandons one factor, possesses two factors, is good in 3 ways, possesses 10 characteristics, and is of the Earth Kasina. Herein, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the abandoning of bodily pleasure and bodily pain, with the previous, which took place before, not in the moment of the fourth jhana, disappearance of joy and grief, with the previous disappearance of the two, that is, mental bliss, pleasure, and mental pain, with the abandoning is what is meant. But when does the abandoning of these take place? At the moment of excess of the 4 jhanas, for mental joy is only abandoned at the moment of the 4th jhana excess, while bodily pain, mental grief, and bodily bliss, pleasure, are abandoned respectively at the moments of excess of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd jhanas. So although the order in which they are abandoned is not actually mentioned, nevertheless the abandoning of the pleasure, pain, joy, and grief is stated here according to the order in which the faculties are summarized in the Indriya Vibhanga. But if these are only abandoned at the moments of excess of the several jhanas, why is their cessation said to take place in the jhana itself in the following passage? And where does the arisen pain faculty cease without remainder? Here bhikkhus, quite secluded from sense desires, secluded from unprofitable things, a bhikkhu enters upon and dwells in the first jhana, which is born of seclusion. It is here that the reason pain faculty ceases without remainder. Where does the reason grief faculty cease without remainder? In the 2nd jhana. Where does the reason pleasure faculty cease without remainder? In the 3rd jhana. Where does the reason joy faculty cease without remainder? Here bhikkhus, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, a bhikkhu enters upon and dwells in the 4th jhana, which has mindfulness purified by equanimity. It is here that the arisen joy faculty ceases without remainder. It is said in that way, they're referring to reinforced cessation. For in the first jhana, etc., it is their reinforced cessation, not just their cessation, that takes place. At the moment of access, it is just their cessation, not their reinforced cessation, that takes place. For accordingly, during the first jhana access, which has multiple adverting, there could be re-arising of the bodily pain faculty due to contact with gadflies, flies, etc., or the discomfort of an uneven seat, though that pain faculty has already ceased, but not so during absorption. Or else, though it has ceased during access, it has not absolutely ceased there, since it is not quite beaten out by opposition. But during absorption, the whole body is showered with bliss, owing to pervasion by happiness, and the pain faculty has absolutely ceased in one whose body is showered with bliss, since it is beaten out then by opposition. And during the second jhana access too, which has multiple advertings, there could be re-arising of the mental grief faculty, although it has already ceased there, because it arises when there is bodily weariness and mental vexation, which have applied thought and sustained thought as their condition, but it does not arise when applied and sustained thought are absent. When it arises, it does so in the presence of applied and sustained thought, and they are not abandoned in the second jhana access. But this is not so in the second jhana itself, because its conditions are abandoned there. Likewise, in the third jhana access, there could be re-arising of the abandoned bodily pleasure faculty in one whose body was pervaded by the superior materiality originated by the consciousness associated with that happiness. But not so in the third jhana itself, for in the third jhana, the happiness that is a condition for the bodily bliss, pleasure, has ceased entirely. Likewise, in the fourth jhana access, there could be re-arising of the abandoned mental joy faculty because of its nearness and because it has not been properly surmounted owing to the absence of equanimity brought to absorption strength. But not so in the fourth jhana itself, and that is why in each case the words without remainder are included thus. It is here that the reason pain faculty ceases without remainder. Here it may be asked, then if these kinds of feeling are abandoned in the excess in this way, why are they brought in here? It is done so that they can be readily grasped, for the neither painful nor pleasant feeling described here by the words, which has neither pain nor pleasure, is subtle, hard to recognize, and not readily grasped. So just as when a cattle herd wants to catch a refractory ox that cannot be caught at all by approaching it, he collects all the cattle into one pan and lets them out one by one. And then he says, "That is it, catch it." And so it gets caught as well. So too, the Blessed One has collected all these five kinds of feeling together so that they can be grasped readily. For when they are shown collected together in this way, then what is not bodily pleasure or bliss, or bodily pain, or mental joy, or mental grief can still be grasped in this way. This is neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Besides, this may be understood as said in order to show the condition for the neither painful nor pleasant mind deliverance, for the abandoning of bodily pain, etc., are conditions for that. According as it is said, there are 4 conditions, friend, for the attainment of the neither painful nor pleasant mind deliverance. Here, friend, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, a bhikkhu enters upon and dwells in the 4th jhana, equanimity. These are the 4 conditions for the attainment of the neither painful nor pleasant mind deliverance. Or alternatively, just as, although mistaken view of individuality have already been abandoned in the earlier paths, they are nevertheless mentioned as abandoned in the description of the 3rd path for the purpose of recommending it. So too, these kinds of feeling can be understood as mentioned here for the purpose of recommending this jhana. Or alternatively, they can be understood as mentioned for the purpose of showing that greed and hate are very far away, owing to the removal of their conditions. For these, pleasure or bliss is a condition for joy, and joy for greed. Pain is a condition for grief, and grief for hate. So with the removal of pleasure, bliss, etc., greed and hate are very far away, since they are removed along with their conditions, which has neither pain nor pleasure, no pain owing to absence of pain, no pleasure owing to absence of pleasure or bliss. By this, he indicates the 3rd kind of feeling that is in opposition both to pain and to pleasure, not the mere absence of pain and pleasure. This 3rd kind of feeling, named neither pain nor pleasure, is also called equanimity. It has the characteristic of experiencing what is contrary to both the desirable and the undesirable. Its function is neutral. Its manifestation is unevident. Its proximate cause should be understood as the cessation of pleasure or bliss, and has purity of mindfulness due to equanimity, has purity of mindfulness brought about by equanimity. For the mindfulness in this jhana is quite purified, and its purification is effected by equanimity, not by anything else. That is why it is said to have purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. Also, it is said in the Visuddhimagga, this mindfulness is clear, purified, clarified by equanimity. Hence, it is said to have purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. And the equanimity due to which there comes to be this purity of mindfulness should be understood as specific neutrality in meaning. And not only mindfulness is purified by it here, but also all associated states. However, the teaching is given under the heading of mindfulness. Herein, this equanimity exists in the three lower jhanas too, but just as, although a crescent moon exists by day, but it is not purified or clear since it is outshone by the sun's radiance in the daytime, or since it is deprived of the night, which is its ally, owing to gentleness and owing to helpfulness to it. So too, this crescent moon of equanimity, consisting in specific neutrality, exists in the first jhana, etc., but it is not purified, since it is outshone by the glare of the opposing states consisting in applied thought, etc. And since it is deprived of the night of equanimity as feeling for its ally, and because it is not purified, the connascent mindfulness and other states are not purified either, like the unpurified crescent moon's radiance by day. That is why no one among these first three jhanas is said to have purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. But here, this crescent moon, consisting in specific neutrality, is utterly pure, because it is not outshone by the glare of the opposing states consisting in applied thought, etc., and because it has the night of equanimity as feeling for its ally, and since it is purified, the connascent mindfulness and other states are purified and clear also, like the purified crescent moon's radiance. That, it should be understood, is why only this jhana is said to have purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. Fourth, it is fourth in numerical series, and it is fourth because it is entered upon fourth. Then it was said, which abandons one factor, possesses two factors. Here the abandoning of the one factor should be understood as the abandoning of joy, but that joy is actually abandoned in the first impulsions of the same cognitive series. Hence, it is called its factor of abandoning. The possession of the two factors should be understood as the arising of the two, namely equanimity as feeling and unification of mind. The rest is as stated in the case of the first jhana. This, in the first place, is according to the fourfold reckoning of jhana. The fivefold reckoning of jhana, when, however, he is developing fivefold jhana, then, on emerging from the now familiar first jhana, he can regard the flaws in it in this way. This attainment is threatened by the nearness of the hindrances, and its factors are weakened by the grossness of applied thought. He can bring the second jhana to mind as quieter, and so end his attachment to the first jhana, and set about doing what is needed for attaining the second. Now he emerges from the first jhana mindfully and fully aware, and only applied thought appears gross to him as he reviews the jhana factors, while the sustained thought, etc., appear peaceful. Then as he brings that same sign to mind as earth, earth, again and again, with the purpose of abandoning the gross factor and obtaining the peaceful factors, the second jhana arises in him in the way already described. Its factor of abandoning is applied thought only. The four, beginning with sustained thought, are the factors that it possesses. The rest is as already stated. When this has been obtained in this way, and once he has mastery in the 5 ways already described, then on emerging from the now familiar second jhana, he can regard the flaws in it in this way. This attainment is threatened by the nearness of applied thought, and its factors are weakened by the grossness of sustained thought. He can bring the third jhana to mind as quieter, and so end his attachment to the second jhana and set about doing what is needed for attaining the third. Now he emerges from the second jhana mindfully and fully aware. Only sustained thought appears gross to him as he reviews the jhana factors, while happiness, etc., appear peaceful. Then as he brings that same sign to mind as earth, earth, again and again, with the purpose of abandoning the gross factor and obtaining the peaceful factors, the third jhana arises in him in the way already described. Its factors of abandoning is sustained thought only. The 3, beginning with happiness, as in the second jhana, in the fourfold reckoning, are the factors that it possesses. The rest is as already stated. So that which is the second in the fourfold reckoning becomes the second and third in the fivefold reckoning by being divided into 2, and those which are the third and fourth in the former reckoning become the fourth and fifth in this reckoning. The first remains the first in each case. The 4th chapter, called The Description of the Earth Kasina, in the treatise on the development of concentration in the path of purification, composed for the purpose of gladdening good people.